Hello, Kingdom Kings and Kingdom Queens. How are you doing today? I hope mko fiti. I hope mko excellent. Kama kawaida, mimi niko shwari. Welcome to Christified, where the Jesus way is the best way. And if you're new here, my name is Raquel Cheryl. I'll be your host. I will always be your host here, so even as you come, unless God changes some few things here and there, but I'll be able to update you because we're about to upgrade and it's something new that I'm about to drop and I will inform you. But for today, as I had already promised you even as we are beginning, that we are having a very interesting season. And then season 1, we have dubbed it the process. Probably you're new and you don't understand what is the process. The process of becoming who God has predestined you to be. We know that God is in the habit, let's put it like that. God is in the habit of first, he can show you who you're supposed to be. Let's use the case study of Joseph. He shows you where you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to go. But hapa katikati, akuonyeshangi ni nini sometimes huenda through. And we were just saying how Joseph had this terrible time with letter P, prison, Potiphar's wife, eat, sijui what, for what, hizo zote. So, but anyways, at the end of it all, because of Joseph's obedience, resilience, and these are topics we have handled here in Christified in this season. So if you've not watched the other episode, make sure you watch because it's going to be for your own benefit. We see him actually becoming now a good P, a prime minister, and he gets to enjoy it. So for this specific episode, we're still in episode 6. We started and we were trying to understand. We were getting to understand with how God enables us, understanding the prophetic ministry. And we had on episode 1, and this episode 2, we also want to understand the prophetic ministry in a different docket, the prophetic worship ministry. This was something that you really asked for, and when I prayed and God downloaded the name of the person who you've actually always been asking for from the comment section, I am really happy to have her today on stage. So please stay tuned. Karibuni tena na tena. Thank you for staying tuned. And even as promised, I told you you're going to have amazing guest experience. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the woman of God. She's a fire woman. She's a fire mama. Oh my God. I know you have seen her on set. We know you have seen the Holy Spirit working through her. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the set, Miss Purity Atieno. Karibu sana, how are you?
Thank you so much. I'm fine. Yes, I thank God.
We're actually very grateful that you're here. Nimeleta. I think I fulfilled my promise. I put up an IG story and I was asking them how I could tackle this episode, and I put different dockets that they want to learn about the prophetic because it's large. So in the prophetic worship ministry, you are tagged so many people. So we're very happy to see you here. Karibu tena na tena.
I'm humble actually to be here.
Thank you so much for honoring our invite. So karibu sana Christified. Even before we go any further, first, your song. Should we say it's your song or whose song?
Which one?
The Warrior Sound.
Oh, okay.
That was an amazing. Nakwambia ilikuwa inatusaidia. At 3 tukiamua kuomba. Ilikuwa inatupeleka 3 hours, 4 hours hapo. That's amazing. That was a very amazing song. But we want to enter into details. We might use Warrior Sound as our case study in this episode.
Okay.
But even before that, probably you can introduce to us from your side who is Purity Atieno, apart from the one that we know. Yeah, who is Purity Atieno?
Okay, Purity Atieno, aside from the one you know, is first of all a wife to one husband.
We connect.
I'm a mother, and I think that is how I can just explain myself outside, because literally my whole life is just surrounded around worship, ministry. So the things that can occupy me aside from that is now motherhood and just being a wife.
Oh wow, awesome. We have the right person, guys. Then we have the right person. Probably you can even we can go deeper and ask integrity questions. But let me start light. What has your experience been in a nutshell as a minister or as a psalmist? Can you say a worshiper? How has it been?
experience. Not good, not bad. I think I would just summarize it by saying the grace has been sufficient.
Yeah.
But one thing I have been able to experience so far, I think the deeper I go into like being a prophetic worshiper and just being extensively in that place, the more battles you attract. So I would just say the grace is sufficient. Honestly, it's not beautiful. Because sometimes when you think this side is okay, the enemy comes to this side.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I've been able to note is also the fact that the enemy uses the things you hold dear to tamper with your heart. So that's why I would say it has not been that smooth.
Yeah.
But the grace is sufficient.
But I think from seeing from your story, some of us have really been following you from the moment you actually started. We have even followed your videos when you went for your wedding. We have seen all of that. Okay. But I think we are just those people we can sit and actually say we are honored to know that it's been authentic all through, and we're seeing the Holy Ghost take you up, because you might not see the behind the scenes, but according to what you're telling us, we are honored. We want to learn. We want to connect to this place. Probably you can tell us. Before now, you're here. How was your process? Where did you start from? Unajua kuna video niliona ukiimba Mombasa. Anyway, probably you can tell us. How was that? How did you come here?
Hey, it's a long story. But anyway, so I would say Kitambo, I used to love music, and not necessarily like just singing to God. I would sing R&Bs. And at that time I used to go to KAG.
Okay.
So fast forward, I changed church, but then there was this women's conference in a certain church. So I used to go there with my sister. So I did not know that that was the moment like everything in my life would shift, like bring me to this moment here. So I remember a woman of God called Cheryl Brady was done preaching that day, and she was talking about the ego and how the ego always challenges the eaglets to the eaglets in the our total ego. So yeah, our total ego. And I remember after she finished, she said she asked everyone to just give something they hold dear. And at that time, I did not have money. So like I did not have money at all, and my sister also didn't have money. Like we just used to wake up, go for the conference, and believe God will provide fare to go home. So I remember at that time, I just stood there, and there's someone really touched me. And then I told God, the only thing I consider valuable to me is my voice. So literally just take it and use it the way you want. And do you know, I was so young, and I did not know how much intensity words carry. As simple, as playful as they come out, but I did not know. So I just told God that, and I remember the woman of God walked like from the altar straight to me, and then she told me, I don't know if you're ready for what you asked for. And I'm praying that the grace of God carries you through. And that is what she told me, and then just went moving, ministering to other people. So still, I'm so young, so naive, as in I've never had the voice of God, I've never experienced anything. So I just brushed it off. But let me tell you, after that, life went like this, like upside down. I lost friends. Some I cannot even go into details. Like I used to go into details, but at some point I became a bit uncomfortable. But I would say life became horrible. Oh my goodness. Like so horrible, to a point where I started using drugs just to distract myself. And growing up in a Christian background, these are things I never used to do. I never used to go to club. I never used to have parties. I was an introvert. So life became so tough. And I remember one time, my sister invited me for a worship experience in Mombasa.
Yeah.
So I was hesitant. But then either way, I accepted. And I was working with Safaricom at that time as a brand ambassador. Au wanazungukanga wakiuza SIM card. So ilikuwa like on contract basis, in the sense of like it will go for 3 months and then you renew 3 months. So funny enough, that same period the contract ended. So nikasema okay, maybe ni God anatrai kunituma I go to Mombasa. So I decided. So we were to leave for Mombasa the next day. So I was to go to my firstborn sister's place the previous day. So we are talking about that previous day as now day.
Yes.
So in a mat, I sat next to a certain guy. He was very dirty. And then he was very nosy. In the sense of I could not use my phone. I don't want to see any details. So I remember I called my friend and I was like, hey manze, kuna mtu hapa ananibo. Siget from yake, siget nini anatrai kusema. Anatrai kufanya. So and this guy just kept looking at me, looking at my phone the whole time. And then when he wanted to alight, I saw him remove a Bible from his coat. And the coat was really torn. Like, you cannot even pay attention to. So he removed his Bible and then he was like, where you're going, you'll find home and you'll find a husband. And then he alighted.
Oh my.
So I tried to ask the conductor kama ameona mali ameenda, and he did not see him again. So anyway, I brushed it off. I'm like, please believe to carry. So we went to Mombasa. And the first guy I spoke to is my husband now.
Did you know?
By that time, I did not know.
Okay.
So, like, this guy told me, you'll get to Mombasa and you'll find a husband. And then I went and I saw a man and he became my friend. And I did not think he would be my husband. No. So, where you saw me singing up on Mombasa, my father-in-law is a pastor in Mombasa. So at that time I was not even married, I was not even engaged. I had just gone for a conference in that church. And the son alikuwa ameringa, my girlfriend can sing, so why not? So I went there and I ministered. So but now being in Mombasa, everything changed in the sense of I do not know how it happened, but most times I started going to a ministry there. And most times I would go to church because I used to stay in Miritini. Most times I would go to church. I would find myself praying for things. At that time, I was not even singing. I was just praying. Like, you go for midweek services, whatnot. So I would find myself praying for things, and then they would happen. In the sense of, at that time we were dating with my husband, and Mombasa is very high on easy marine spirits, such things.
Yes.
I would find myself going to church and pray against witchcraft activities. In it randomly, you find it like you're praying for your family, and then suddenly you find yourself praying for. And then I would pause and ask myself,
no.
And then fast forward, there's a lady who came to that same church, and actually. He had mentioned my name and my husband's name on a graveyard.
Okay. How did you not get to know that?
The lady confessed to one of the ladies in church.
Oh my goodness.
Because the mother took her there. So she was told to mention 2 random names that would come on her mind. And then she mentioned me and my husband.
Were you friends?
No. They just hate you for no reason.
Tell me about it.
No. So when she confessed to the friend, now I added these 2 things and I was like, okay, so this is what the prayer meant. And then now I started now involving myself with music. And I would say like now what raised me to where I am right now is now the prayer beat. And I think it is the prayer beat that made the music to make sense.
Powerful.
Because now the kind of ministration, the kind of songs I will sing were not normal to people in Mombasa. But now I would say, okay, maybe this is what God is trying to do.
Yeah. And then that's how you just went.
That is how I just went. I remember there was a time when that lady mentioned our names on the graveyard. I suddenly fell ill.
Okay.
And it was so intense that I lost tremendous amount of weight. And I would go to the doctors and they would tell me they can't see anything.
Oh my.
Kabisa. And I remember even people feared associating with me because they thought I had contracted something different.
Yeah.
But I used to be in so much pain, like abdominal pain.
Oh my.
I would vomit blood. I would desecrate blood. I would, everything was just messy. And I would constantly go on maji because they don't even know what they're teaching. So, but I remember one thing that God told me at that time was, go to church. Even if you would crawl yourself to church, go to church.
My God.
So I would go to the hospital, they give me water, and then I go to church. I would go to church, sleep the entire service, but leave there knowing I was obedient.
Yeah, you went to church.
I would take a mat back home. I stop, I puke, I go back to the mat until I get. It was such a dis. And I remember one time I just sat down and I texted my husband now and I told him, I'm tired, I'm giving up.
Yeah.
And that is when he told me we go to another hospital. And imagine that they told me the white cells too ziko chini. So something which could have even, because I was not even eating, literally I would have died. But it was just white cells.
My goodness.
And the next week, the lady confessed.
How did you react even before I just get out of topic after that? How did you handle that after she confessed and she was like,
I laughed. Honestly, I laughed because have you ever known something before it happens? So I just laughed it off and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. The process. Like, that is such, that's intense, and I know that's just a part of a highlight you've given us. But anyways, we continue deeper. But from that, let me even now probably ask, we've just gotten now to know your process. How did you, now, was that a confirmation that you were called to worship? Because now you're saying that the lady came and just looked and was like, oh, whatever you've asked for, God akupe grace ya kufika huko mbele. Did that confirm your calling for you and that's stamped, oh, by them called to worship? Or when did that happen? Because we keep on asking everyone, Amma, was your calling like Ilya Samuel? Oh, purity, come thee, you're going to be a worshiper. How did you get to jot things down and then understand, by the way, God is saying, tuanze hii path, tuende pole pole, ama ni yako ni zili adapt tu ukajipata?
Honestly, zili adapt. The first time Pastor Shelby spoke to me, I was so naive to even realize I was even called for anything.
Oh my goodness.
I just loved music. So ni kama you have like this favorite toy of yours and then someone comes and tells you, give me that toy, the thing you value the most, and just give out the toy. So that is what I did. So I think now, the more, I think, the fact that my ministry is mainly based on prayer. So it's a small experiences. I just found myself there. And now the fact that in every process, nowadays I can hear. Now.
This is the next step. This is the next step forward. Because we just had a question, somebody had thrown a question to me. Is your purpose something to you wake up today, pap, and you know you're supposed to be an evangelist, unashika Bible, unaenda? And actually, so many people came up to the same thing and they were saying, zili adapt to. It's just a process of obedience, obey this, and he will take you to the next step, and he'll take you to the next, and then utajipata tu in alignment, you're doing what God has called you to do. So that's actually very interesting. Now let's come to your ministry. But even before that, probably it would be interesting to know, if you couldn't sing, what do you think you'd be doing?
Nothing. Actually, honestly, by the way, me singing has made me to sit in places I never thought I would sit.
Oh, wow.
Has made me to travel actually outside Kenya. Maybe in a passport. Honestly, by the way, I'm going to say, but I think he is good.
Is that how you give to make you stand before men?
Honestly, by the way, I'm living that.
Yeah.
I used to enjoy psychology. But then,
do you think ungeenda nayo hadi mwisho?
No. Like, do you know I'm in a space where music, I love music so much. Like aside from now the prophetic bit of it, I love music so much to a sense even if it does not give anything back to me, I still do it.
Oh wow.
Unlike psychology, I would wake up na ikose kuniletea profit bana na iacha.
Ningekuchosha, not even a passion.
Yeah.
Probably you can even tell us in your process of kuenda, you've traveled, the stages you've mounted up, altars you've ministered. What can you tell us has been, do you have a highlight that this has been my favorite? Is a highlight. A favorite moment. When the way it happened, this has been my favorite moment. And probably even your most embarrassing. Something happened. So that people see these things are normal. Because by the time your video of warrior sound is coming out, it's so clean. Kuna mtu aliimba church, Mungu alimwambia this time when ufanye presentation. Akisema tu ni na sauti. So do you have a favorite moment? Ama not any favorite? Or ama kuna tu mmoja tu really outstand, or and also an embarrassing one if you do have.
My favorite one was one worship with Victoria Renze.
Yes.
Because it was actually like a prophecy come to pass. Like I used to love her so much and watch her videos. And I remember there's a time she came to Grace Arena and I was doing backup for Dr. Atieno. And then I was so excited. I was there. My husband and me, unachoma. Really, I'm there with my phone recording her doing sound check. Because it was like I would never even imagine myself talking to her. So I remember that day after she finished.
This is where we come from.
After she finished the sound check, she came, like she was about to leave, and then she came where I was seated.
Oh wow!
And my husband at that time was out. No, I usually tell him, you missed the important parts, man. I know. She came and she started praying over me.
Oh my goodness!
Out of the blues. She started praying over me, and I don't think anyone there expected that. So fast forward, I found myself sitting next to her, and then we're ministering the same place.
Oh my goodness!
She speaks again over my life, and actually now everything she spoke before happened, and now she spoke again, and now I'm believing it. So it was a highlight, like
your ministration that day was powerful. Actually, she even prayed for you again, your investment. It was powerful. We were just seated with my friends and they were saying, you're a combination of Victoria Renze and Abby together.
And that's what I usually watch. It's all Abby and But then the reason why it's also my favorite is the fact that God shifted my ministry in the sense of when I'm invited somewhere, you know, in that space where you're preparing, God gives me a song at that point. So it was my very first time actually obeying God and deciding, okay, the day I will do Sound the Alarm. So Sound the Alarm, I've never recorded it. God just told me, go and sing it there. I'm like, okay, I did a live recording, man. Why couldn't you give me that song at that time? So, and then the way, the reception, and then the move of God, I have never experienced that before. So it was just a new page in my music ministry.
You know, today in the morning I woke up with that song in my spirit. Because I'm a confirmation back because we were coming, and today was so hectic. And then I just woke up with the sound the alarm it was fire. I had to first wait and pray. So I didn't know what was to happen because I told you when we were coming there was an accident in my route. I don't know, but God is gracious. He hides us from things we don't know yet. But you can probably tell us, do you have any embarrassing moment of it?
Embarrassing. I won't call it embarrassing per se, but when I was doing Aruka that week, I lost my voice because I had overstretched my voice. So even during the project, I could not belt out certain notes. So I remember there's this song that I was expected to go a bit higher, but I played safe, as in. But then when your sound sounding what I mean, and honestly, I was sent that audio and I listened again because I did not think it would sound that way.
Oh wow!
And then the battles that we encountered that day. So that's why I wouldn't call it as embarrassing as. But anyway, I have one embarrassing moment. Come to think of it, in Mombasa. And I was so it was during a church service, and the band played the entire intro for a song, and I sang a different song because I had forgotten I had forgotten the song, honestly, and ilipotea nikapotea kabisa, and I started a new song.
So did you alert them? Mama, you started and they were looking at you like,
no, Boreka. But honestly, Boreka, and I did not even explain myself, and I waited for the service to issue, and immediately yeah, I did not even want anything.
That's interesting. Guys, it happens. It happens.
How it happens.
But so, we cannot probably go back to our topic.
Yeah.
How can you define for us the prophetic worship ministry?
I would say different from any other ministry. I would say this is a kind of ministry that involves high discernment and being fully like fully dependent on the voice of God.
Yes.
Like being in a prophetic worship or prophetic ministry, you are more sensitive to what God is saying.
Yes.
Not emotions, not vibe. Fully dependent on the instruction and the word and the voice of God. So if you're a prophetic worshiper, this means you're supposed to be able to hear God, or just have a high discernment and know that this is the direction God is leading me, even in the middle of worship.
Ukifanya kitu chako juu utakuwa peke yako.
Later flow.
Wow, that's interesting. So can we say a prophetic worshiper or a prophetic psalmist is anyone now who is able to channel your whatever after amesha discern chenye God and I'm sure na anaweza kuifanya sasa ikuwe materialize. Can that be that?
Yes, like a person mwenye anaweza denote, if that is the word, anaweza denote like the voice of God into a psalm.
Wow. And so is that just limited to now who we see the vocalist on the mic? It can involve even the instrumentalist. Who really falls into this category? Because now the other point is I'm a member of Rock Tabernacle. When the Julius telling the pianist behind, because they're also setting an atmosphere with just the keys. And anamwambia usiipote kana mimi tuende. So you can feel it's actually more than just playing keys, and it's actually very spiritual. And I think the reason I'm also asking that is because from where this episode is coming from, ni ile place yenye tunaona Saul ameambiwa na Samuel, one of the signs utajua you're supposed to be king, apart from tomb, utamit na some women, you will meet with some prophets. They were playing the symbols and everything. And it says that because he was in their midst, now what happened in their midst is pia akaanza kuprophesy. Nika ili invoke that prophetic atmosphere. So is a prophetic psalmist just among the ones of the vocalists? Who entail kina nani? What does the prophetic ministry? Who are the persons?
First of all, I will start by saying men carry atmospheres. So if I am a prophetic worshiper, whichever place I step in, automatically the atmosphere in a overtake, like every other thing. So maybe giving an example with myself, when I was doing Aruka, starting from the flyer, my husband makes all my flyers. So I remember he presented like 5 of them. And I would tell him, God is saying no. God is saying no. Something as simple as a flyer, God is saying no. And then I remember one time I went to sleep early, went to bed early, and then he told me, now fast forward, he told me that he actually had to pray first and pray intensely, like for 30 minutes plus, and then he sat and then designed the flyer. And then in the morning when he showed me, I did not know he had prayed. I just told him, yeah, God amesema yes.
Oh, good.
Like I felt so much peace in me. Higher. Now to the instrumentalist and the BGVs. I work with an MD. He's called Martin Masava. So before now, like involving the entire band, I had to sit with him first so that he can be able to know exactly how every song is supposed to sound. But anyway, what we did there, anytime I would sing a song, it's like he knew how it was supposed to sound. In the sense of, most of the songs in Aruka give Arabic, Hebraic vibe.
Yeah.
You get, and he would tell me, okay, nimesikiza song, let me go, like try and work it out, and then tukimit kesho, you will listen to it, and then he would come and play it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that is how I had it in my
goodness.
So anytime you are a prophetic worshiper and you go to a place, that is why Rev Julian would tell the keyboardist, move with me, because he knows the atmosphere is there. So you just need to be sensitive.
Oh wow.
So I would say it's not just limited to the person, but anywhere they are, everything is influenced.
Oh my goodness. I've never seen it in that angle, but I'm also seeing why it's also important for those who are the background, whatever they're doing, to also be influenced with what you're doing. So probably now we can move into the part of having your songs written. You just need to explain, because this is my friend, sikuweki kwa mataa. She was like, nitaketi chini niandike. And those songs really got it. Like, aliandika hivyo ingine hata tulikaa 2 seconds, akasema yeye Mungu amesema no. Yeah. So how is the composing? Let's talk about the composing of your song. Are there just sessions where you sit and you write? It's something you download? I've heard from Sn1 can say it's a sound. Somebody needs to clarify for us how now you come to a point of putting all those things in order, because there's also the part of excellence, because even when we come from sound the alarm of Zion, sound the alarm of Zion, Sabaoth is here. Is there a reason of why this is repeated twice? Is there a structure? Because there's also an excellence that we see. You guys are just not singing. As much as you're doing what you're doing, it's also appeasing. If I was not a believer, I would listen and I'm like, apart from just feeling some type of way, because I understand he's being ministered to, there's some sort of excellence. Inaweza mfanya tu anabanju kwa hiyo music as much as ajui. Yeah. So how does the composing come to be? Ama ni true kuna upande mnapendukanga mkiangalia mkiomba ndio mdownload
hey, my Lord, give me examples with myself.
Yeah, you can yourself.
So a song like Korea Sound, one would expect, by the way, nilikuwa worried your time, but it's the opposite actually. Life was battering me seriously, and I remember at that time I was so overwhelmed, and I just sat on my seat and I was like, okay, let me just close my eyes and sleep. And then I will not fear the terror by night, nor the arrow by day. So I woke up and I was like, okay. And then it kept playing now in my head.
Wow.
So the more I was repeating that I will not fear the terror by night, the melody now came to place. And then, and actually, Warrior Sound didn't sound like that way initially. It was, I hear the lion of Judah running from a distance. Then we drive on back to life. Yeah. So now, when we met with my MD, now we were trying to align everything. It is not, the melody is not far from the original, but and then the more we were playing the song, now we were story.
So we can say that's the part of excellence.
Yes, now that is the part of excellence. Yeah. Now making sure the melodies that does not like necessarily sound like maybe another song.
Yes.
And of course, Warrior Sound now it's different. It's different kabisa. We wanted like the first melody, and the second melody, but it's equal far like apart. So now that's the excellence bit.
Yeah.
But now the writing of songs, honestly, okay, many times when I'm walking, either I'm taking a mat, Uber, anything, I always play worship, like 90% of the time. So there's a song called Asante. It's in the Aruka album. I was in a Uhimidiwe. I was in a mat, headed home, and then the melody kept playing, and I think hata mwenye alikuwa amekaa kando yangu ni kama mimi ni wazimu, because I started just singing randomly, like I just started singing randomly, and I remember I just took my phone and I was like this. Mtu asinisikie, because ikipotea imepotea na. So I think if you're a music writer, more so like a gospel music writer, make sure every time you're in the presence of God, not just necessarily praying, but you're surrounded by things that are appeasing to God, in the sense of the music that you're listening. Many times you do not have control, especially kama umetumia mat. Utasikia songs zenye zimeimba kwa TikTok and you will sing along without even knowing. So get yourself earphones. Listen. The more you listen to things that are in line with your religion, are in line with your belief, it's like you're just tuned in all the time, all the time. I saw like sound the alarm I was preparing, and I think I was just seated in my bedroom and I was reading the Bible. So I had, what did I hear? I think I had Sound the Alarm or Zion. That is the only thing I had. So I remember I took my phone and Googled, because honestly, imetoka kwa Joel. It's a book and you don't read through it in Amkanga. So I just Googled Sound the Alarm or Zion, and then you can name a Bible scripture. And that is how now I denoted like an entire song from that.
God has different ways of accomplishing his processes.
Another song inaitwa Jehovah Rapha, it's in the album. I wrote the first part and then I took it to my husband to listen, and then he was like, but then I feel God pia kiniambia ongeza kaka kitu, ongeza kaka, and that is how the song
came to life.
So even your partner anafaa kukua ana understand your ministry, and both of you have to be like totally in sync and in line, like with whatever. And mind you, my husband used to sing kitambo, so it's not even that much of a...
I reconnect. You guys are connecting. Yeah, I'm connecting. I'll connect even for you. That's amazing. So what can you say has influenced and has affected your journey behind the scenes? Because stuff for us, we'll now see the edited part, the video. And so people for us, we interact probably with your lives, your Bible study sessions. We'll now see probably a little bit of the behind the scenes. But what influences it behind the scenes? Now we come and see the end product. Because kama you're saying the warrior sound, that's we're expecting you. We can warrior. You are stuttering. So that when this song came to life, but you're saying it was actually the total opposite. And one thing that you've mentioned is prayer. That prayer is a constant for you. Yeah. So what are the other things probably? You probably can dive deeper into prayer, because somebody is listening and for them it's just about writing songs. When I think Katie get some reading, take some scripture somewhere. Yeah, but there has to be something that backs that. Yeah. So what is it for you?
I would say every day God teaches me a new face of surrender. And mimi by the way kitu nimestruggle nayo sana. Even when planning for Aruka, like maybe I need to have plan A, B, C, D, and Z. Because if you fail, I need to pick this one, and then God will block all the avenues.
Oh my goodness!
Get so, and then surrender in the sense of your family, because people, children of God. The moment you reach a place where you're now getting invited to places, honestly, you do not know the amount of attacks that you draw to yourself. In the sense of, there's a place I went to sing, and immediately I finished singing, I had like my neck burning. And it burned like for a while, and then it kaisha. So, and the Holy Spirit was telling me there was someone who was in bondages, and amekuwa set free. And then I go back home and expect the enemy ataniacha tu niende free.
What do you mean? So,
but then when I surrender my family and surrender my child and surrender everything around me and pray against counterattack, of course, I am constantly safe with the fact that God ana protect that which I hold dear. You see.
Wow.
So I think God ana reveal your surrender in terms of post-ministration, surrender pre-ministration, surrender lifestyle, surrender
kila kitu.
So I think for me, your story to surrender.
Yeah, and the part now of prayer.
The part of prayer.
That is wow.
Part of prayer.
Yeah.
I would give maybe a story. Wanapenda kuimagine two stories.
Please, it's helping us. It's art of public speaking.
When we were planning for Aruka, I remember we didn't even have 1 shilling, like in the sense of we had 300 bob, both of us.
Wewe wacha tuambie ukweli.
Ukweli.
And that is so excellent.
We had 300 bob, and that was in January.
So
God gave me that word, Aruk, and then he told me healing and restoration, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, okay, naambia my husband, okay, sisi tutakuwa imeenda kwa penaje because we need to pay for the studio sessions. And I was like, hey. Alikuwa amechora budget, and I was like, slash it down because mimi najua wale watu maybe they can come through, hawezi come through your design.
Yeah.
So slash it away. So he took it and slashed everything. Anambia, unataka screens? Toa. Unataka sijui nini? Toa. By the way, kuna ingine yenye iko chika yenye inaimba better. Ananiambia, but unajua sasa like the instrument that you use in the live recording play like 100% role to how the sound will sound post production. You get? So anyway, it makes sense. Maybe you can for your live recording maybe. So 2 months down the line, ndio nakuja realize, but the rehearsals have been happening, and I don't know how God has been providing. Like someone will just randomly send me 2,000, randomly send me 3,000. My husband your time busy kanza kufunguka, you get, and things just began aligning. And I remember there's a time when God alikuwa anani push to fast, push to pray, and now bringing it back to the budget. I called my friend from Nigeria. We usually speak a lot, and she was like, nikamwambia, but then I'm planning to do a recording. It's like this, and then she was like, talking to you right now, God ananiambia, unaona budget tumeandika, grab everything and return it the way it was before.
Oh my God.
And I had not told her anything.
Oh God.
I remember I cried the whole time. And then from that point now, it came, like it dawned on me that the way, even something as simple as planning a budget, doing a live recording, writing songs, you just need to pray. But now from that point, now God had to squeeze the faith out of me. Because the people I had in mind who would give towards the project didn't give.
Oh, so in the back in I
had 2 groups, one with friends, like very many of them.
Yeah.
Very, like close to 300. And then this other one had like 6 people. So here 300, only 3 people, almost only 4 people gave. Here 6 people, I already beba like the entire project.
Oh my goodness.
Like, and I will tell you, every day I used to go, before I go to bed, I would pray and just tell God to just reveal and open my eyes to see the path that I'm in. So the more God alikuwa na reveal here, like the path that I'm in, inakuwa sure of a beautiful moment within your purpose.
Wow.
So that is what encouraged me the whole time.
I am also still seeing the aspect of surrender all through. That's amazing, because kuna zile part yenye tuko sure when we are fulfilling God's will, kuna confidence tuko nayo, or this 300 people, hata vitoa so kuna venye exactly. So seeing now the point that you're bringing, that's interesting. But sasa, let's go back kiasi. There's a point you had mentioned that even in your growing, sasa now after you chose to surrender, unaona vile ipate surrender inatokea in every episode. Surrender if you want to walk in the process God has given for you. Kuna part ulisema now when it was the time of dedication and you're like, God, it's my voice that I'm giving to you. And one of the ways that you tried to curb now the point of surrender, because obviously the enemy alikuwa frightened. There is now somebody, because one thing we normally say that where the enemy will keep on attacking you is because we may choose to do God's will. And if you're choosing to do God's will, it means that you're choosing to establish the kingdom of God. So you're an enemy to now the enemy's kingdom. Coming from your side, you mentioned there was a point, you even got to a point of using drugs. So I'm probably looking at somebody who hakukuwa na resilience in the journey of saying, I've not been called to this ministry. Even it can be a prophetic worshiper themselves and askia, but they expected it to be perfect. From your story, we are seeing the kuna ups and downs, ulisakatwa, uliwekwa madini, ilifika point umeshiba, you're just like, my God. So somebody probably was expecting it to be perfect, akaanguka here and there. Probably what can you bring up? Probably you can give a story of how it was to the point you actually choose to use drugs. And then you can actually now talk to somebody and be like, it's not meant to be perfect, but probably kuna venye God alikupika, and it can encourage them even as you're now winding up to finish. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I would say me doing drugs ilianza as a joke.
Oh yeah.
I did not think, and then a joke in the sense of not that much of a joke, because pia nilikuwa under some kind of pressure in life. So I did not realize how much it was getting to me until like sasa hapo mbele. And I remember there's a time I just sat on my bed and I was like, baby, I'm used to.
Exactly.
So that time ilikuwa like 2 years past sijaenda church. So your time I woke up and I went
and
to
this
church.
is after ulienda mbele and you're like, God, you can have my voice.
Years later, like an year plus later,
So kumaanisha ni kuanguka after now you'd already made the decision. Yeah, so it's possible, guys. Journey ikwangi perfect.
And I think hiyo ndo sasa ilini push sasa like kuwa now like fully for Christ. Unaona? Because unajua sisi tumezoea ile sense ya unasema okay, mimi napenda God na ndaimba tu stories za God na nifike home nisikize R&B, nisikize like secular music na the next day niende to church niimbe na vitu ziko sawa, you get. But now nakumbuka that time I went to church and I just sat there and I told God, but then I just need to know if you still love me. Because I felt rejection from every corner. Every corner. And I remember that day the preacher spoke about God's love. Like just weird. So I think now looking back, naweza sema, many times when you are called for a bigger purpose, God tends to hear you quicker. I don't know because you're now moving to prophetic ministry and whatnot. But now looking back, anything I used to pray for used to happen. Even I was so blind to
actually see. So actually, let me now ask, what is something that you'd have wished you knew as you started? Now this is just for somebody who is also starting a journey on specifically taking it as in the ministry of the prophetic worship. What's something that you wish you knew kitambo is now you are starting and would have helped you, and probably it can help somebody, before I give you my bonus question of this episode and then we call it an episode?
Okay. I think one thing I would wish I knew is the fact that my purpose has my print. So I think many times I used to compare myself and compare my speed and compare my pace, and it would kill my self-esteem, self-confidence, hizo vitu zote. So now sai I move with the mindset that it has my print. So whatever God alieka in my life that I'm supposed to fulfill, which however way I do it, that is the best way God told me. God nifanye. So it doesn't matter if someone is in the same ministry as I am, moved maybe faster than I am. There is something in me God anataka ni handle that requires me to move at that pace. So it gives you peace. And it gives you, because maybe I used to battle with self-esteem a lot. A lot. I would go to a place and be like, yo, hapa sisimami. The Purity of back then would not do warrior sound.
Okay.
Would not do warrior sound. But now, fast forward, I have learned to embrace like the purpose that God ameplace kwa life yangu.
Wow.
And I think knowing that saves you from envy, saves you from jealousy.
Mbona mimi siendi kama nani?
Inakusave sana. Just know everything in your life iko na print yako.
Wow.
Now, however way you do it, that is the way God anakuguide uifanye. At the end of it all, you will still achieve your purpose.
That's amazing.
Hata ichukue 5 years, 6 years, 1 year, 2 seconds, you still achieve it.
And so for those who are actually watching, probably for them, they have not been called into this ministry, but for them, they are receivers. They can perceive that the atmosphere that I'm in, there's prophetic worship going on. What should they be doing at such a time? It's being led and you're like, something is being deposited. Because one thing that I've also noted in prophetic worship, we say that if you're prophetic worship, there's a vehicle of somebody who's being used to actually just show us the mind of God through their psalms, as you're saying, to denote after discernment. What are they supposed to do? What should be their posture during that moment? Because now that leads us to our bonus question. What does it mean to worship in truth and in spirit? Because at that time, yes, you're doing your thing. Probably I'm not called to that ministry, but I'm watching and I'm worshiping. I'm watching, watching. I'm watching, and I'm now actually saying, there's something going on. So what am I to do? What is my posture? What does it mean to worship in truth and in spirit? So that I'm also a partaker of what is coming from the bowels of the ones who is also ministering, who is being used. Yeah.
I think worship is like a vehicle, and when you're saying worship in truth and spirit, I usually say these two things cannot coexist without revelation. Lazima uko na revelation ya whatever that you're doing. Like truth inakam na revelation. Spirit inakam na revelation ya who God is. So any worshiper, any prophetic worshiper is just but a vessel. Worship is very intimate, very personal. So even you as a person who is receiving, unafaa kuwa tu umetoka in a personal moment of worship. Like ukikam ni kuendelea tu. Nimeona ni ushanga nao wenye unasemanga wametoka church na wanasema hiyo worship haikuwa deep. Leo mtu ni kama hiyo kuna vitu amefanya hiyo worship deep. And ukiangalia nyuma, maybe ni wewe mwenyewe ukukuwa deep, by the way. Unaona? So ndio hiyo revelation come to play, lazima both of us tuko tuna move na the same mind, the same place. Unaona? Ndio nikikaa mkono niseme like it's a new song, but nasema you are more than able. Pia mimi na get by the way, hata mimi hivi kigoda mnembizi. Unaona? So the filling up doesn't begin when now you are the one leading there. Niko secret place yangu pia mimi personally. Wewe kutoka hiyo worship kidogo. Ndio hata sauti yake ilinguruma leo, that worship was not it's like how watu wenye they fully depend on prophets for their spiritual life. Like wamezoea kuonewa. The point yenye they cannot have their own personal time to pray. Ni sasa hivyo. Like sasa umekuja church, unataka mimi ndio nikusinkishe deep. Mimi siwezi, ni power ya God. Like, I'm also ministering to God, and God is using me as a vessel, not because of the purpose He placed in my life. Whatever He placed, ndio ina come to play. Oh my goodness, that is deep. So unaona mimi nikiwa nimekuwa mdeep huko nje, nikikuja church, hiyo deepness inaendelea tu. Deep collect and to deep. I think upon the public speakers nasemanga, what better way to end that episode, and then we walk out of the stage. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Purity. I think it was a topic we didn't know how to break it down, but from your answers alone, that has been wonderful. That has been great. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for that. Guys, you need to follow up. I know what she's doing, because we need another. So very soon, it was like dear Sasa, but probably you can tell us where can we find you on social media? YouTube, Purity Atieno, Facebook, Purity Atieno, Instagram, Purity_Atieno, TikTok, Purity Atieno. Awesome. So guys, make sure you go follow, make sure you go subscribe, turn on that notification bell for a new sound. Is there any that is coming up? Yes. Very soon? Yes. Utakosa kweli? By next month. By next month? This month. This month, yes. October. Yes. Yes. And make sure you go follow Pale Instagram. There's just a way you need to learn from people who have gone before you. And social media is now at our own privilege, at our own advantage. So, yeah, but thank you so much. Thank you for coming in this episode. And we're going to have her, Cindy, we're going to have her soon for a different topic that relates to her life. Because there's something she has mentioned, and I know people are going to ask me questions. She needs to expound on something you have said, but I've not touched it now, so that we can do it for the next episode. Asante sana. Karibu. Haya, kwaheri, bye. You can tell them bye. Bye-bye.